Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness, day 304 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. Happy Tuesday, everybody. So we're going to jump into our meditation routine here. And I will see you all on the other side. Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Good morning, Auntie Louisa. Good morning, Liz. All right, so we just finished our meditation routine, and now we're getting into our reading routine. I will see you guys on the other side. All right, welcome back, my friends. We have just finished our reading routine, and now we're getting into our journaling routine. So if you're joining us for the first time, usually what I like to write about in my journal is what I'm most grateful for, and in the morning that is two things: waking up and being in godly mental, physical, and spiritual health. And then I go into creating my reality, a reality that that may manifest um, today, tomorrow, the next day, etc. So anything you wish to aspire, I mean, any goals or aspirations that you have for any time in the near future, the journal is a good way to um, keep track of your thoughts, keep track of your ambitions, and then it's a good reference points to go back to when you start seeing these things manifest themselves into real life. And um, And so, yes, I can tell you that, from my personal experience, everything I've written in my journals, I have manifested into reality, and it has been a very beautiful experience to experience and to witness my own power, on a daily basis. So, tap in, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Alrighty, so jumping back into our Bible, we just finished our journaling routine. And pretty much we were talking about, we're in Exodus, the book of Exodus, and yesterday we were talking about the different plagues. So the Pharaoh has enslaved the people of Israel, and this is a huge problem. God saying, hey, you need to set my people free. And he's using Moses and his brother Aaron as the deliverers or the message bearers of the Lord to tell the Pharaoh to free the people of Israel. Long story short, the Pharaoh has went through a series of saying, in a few instances, hey, yes, I'll free the slaves. Just stop this plague that you have bestowed upon me and all the people of Egypt. And then the Lord would harden his heart. Then the Lord would harden his heart, and then the Pharaoh would change his mind and say, okay, no, I'm not going to free the people of Israel when the Lord stopped whatever plague he was putting on them. And so that type of dialogue or discussion just simply continues here in the next couple pages. In the sixth plague, which is what we ended on yesterday, were boils. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, take handfuls of soot from the kiln, and let Moses throw them in the air in the sight of the Pharaoh. It shall become fine dust over all the land of Egypt, and become boils, breaking out in sores on man and beast throughout all the land of Egypt. And so the scripture actually at one point indicates that the Pharaoh and his servants personally are not experiencing these things, but all of the people of Egypt are experiencing, all of these different plagues. And there was a total, I think, of 10. And we have to also remember that the Lord actually made a distinction between the people of Israel and the Egyptians by not affecting any of the people of Israel who were slaves in Egypt, but with any of these plagues. And then the next one was the seventh plague, which was hail. And this hail was so strong that it destroyed everything that it touched. Every man, every forest, tree, everything that it touched, it just absolutely obliterated. And then the eighth plague was locusts. But in the seventh plague, I should say, the Pharaoh said, essentially, hey, I go ask the Lord, Aaron and Moses to rescind or take back this hail. I will let the people of Israel free. And then, the Lord hardened his heart again. And then the Pharaoh said, no, I'm not going to let your people free after the hail stopped. Then the eighth plague was locusts. Then the Lord said to Moses, go in to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I may show these signs of mine among them, and that you may tell in the hearing of your son and your grandson how I have dealt harshly with the Egyptians, and what signs I have done among them, that you may know that I am the Lord. So Moses and Aaron went to the Pharaoh and said to him, thus the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring locusts into your country. Locusts are these loud bugs. I don't know if you guys ever traveled to the East Coast, but they like hiss in the trees. They sound like big, like little big rattlesnakes. Let my people go, that they may serve. For if you refuse to let my people go, tomorrow I will bring locusts into your country, and they shall cover the face of the land, so that no one can see the land. And these things are like this big. So you're talking about covering the land with little, bugs that are that big. And they shall eat what is left to you after the hail. And they shall eat every tree of yours that grows in the field, and they shall fill your houses and the houses of all your servants and all the Egyptians, as neither your father nor your grandfathers have seen. from the day they came on earth to this day. Then they turned and went from the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh's servant said to him, "How long shall this man be snare to us? Let the men go, that they may serve the Lord their God. Do you not yet understand that Egypt is ruined?" So Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, "Go serve your Lord. But which ones are to go?" Moses said, "We will go with our young and our old. We will go with our sons and daughters and our flocks and herds, for we must hold a feast to the Lord." So essentially, um, the servants and the Pharaoh come to this realization, like, holy smokes, if we're going to have locusts. And remember, they had frogs in their house already and frogs all over the land that were then sent back. But the Pharaoh and his servants were like, geez, Egypt could be ruined if these locusts come. So they called Moses and Aaron back into the lair or into his quarters and said, hey, if you go, who is to go and what shall go? And then the Pharaoh told him only the daughters, the sons, etc. But then Aaron and Moses said, no, we're going to take everything. No cattle, no anything is going to be left behind. And we want to make that clear. So the Pharaoh hastily called Moses. Obviously, the Pharaoh in this point hardened his heart again. And then, the locusts came and started destroying all of the land. Then the Pharaoh hastily called Moses and Aaron and said, I have sinned against the Lord, your God, and against you. Now, therefore, forgive me, forgive my sin, please, only this once, and plead with the Lord, your God, only to remove this death from me. So he went out from the Pharaoh, and he pleaded with the Lord. And the Lord turned the wind into a very strong west wind, which lifted the locusts and drove them into the Red Sea. Not a single locust was left in all the country of Egypt. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the people of Israel go. Which, to me, at this point, I'm like, why is God flexing on this Pharaoh right now? It's obvious that, the magicians, the sorcerers can't align or can't, beast up to this power that God is clearly displaying here. And for the Pharaoh to continuously sin against God when he's asking, for a certain deliverance and something is kind of mind baffling. So then the ninth plague was darkness. So darkness came over Egypt, and then the final plague threatened. So pretty much in the final plague threatened, you have the Lord saying, hey, essentially, long story short, I will bring upon the Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterward, he will let you go from here. When he lets you go, he will drive you away completely. Speak now in the hearing of the people, that they ask every man of his neighbor and every woman of her neighbor for silver and gold jewelry. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of the Pharaoh's servants and in the sight of the people. So Moses was going to essentially be made as pretty much a man to look at in high standing by the Lord. So Moses said, thus says the Lord, about midnight I will go out in the midst of Egypt, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. From the firstborn of the Pharaoh who sits on his throne, even to the firstborn of the slave girl who is behind the handmill, and all the firstborn of the cattle. There shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there has never been, nor ever will be again. In other words, God threatens to exterminate all the people of Egypt by killing all the firstborns coming into the world. Okay, so I'll just say this. There shall be a great cry throughout all of Egypt, such as there has never been, nor ever will be again. But not a dog shall growl against any of the people of Israel, either man or beast, that you may know that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. and all these servants shall come down to me and bow down to me, saying, Get out, you and all the people who follow you. And after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in hot anger. Then the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh will not listen to you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. Moses and Aaron did all of these wonders before Pharaoh, and the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the people of Israel go out of his land for the 10th time. So then you have Passover. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, This month shall be for you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year for you. Tell all of the congregation of Israel that on the 10th day of this month, every man shall take a lamb according to their father's houses, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for a lamb, and he and his nearest neighbor shall take according to the number of persons, according to what each can eat, you shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male, a year old. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of this month, when the whole assembly and the congregation of Israel shall kill their lambs at twilight. And that's pretty much where we end right now for the story of Passover. We'll get into more of that tomorrow. We talk about the 10th plague, which is the death of the firstborn, and then the Exodus, which also is translated into the exit. And then institution of Passover, consecration of the firstborn, and then eventually, I'm assuming that the Israelites or the Israel people were free. Now, messaged Pastora this morning, and she said the plagues were a curse due to idols of Egypt. They refused to obey God. And so I asked the question, well, why in the world would God continue? Why would he, if he knows that the Pharaoh is gonna break the rules, then why would he harden his heart? It doesn't make any sense. And so that was her response. And I mean, it makes sense. Don't idolize people on earth. That's why I'm not a big fan of celebrities. And when I say that, I mean, celebrities are cool. Jay-Z, Chris Brown, I don't know who else is cool. Will Smith, all of these guys are really cool, but my fascination, for their art or for who they are as people doesn't run so deep that I'm going to idolize them, right? And follow them and follow their lead, and follow what they're doing. And I think, that's the most important thing, is that these pharaohs at one point in time, obviously they ruled the land, but they were held to a higher standard and a higher decree than God himself. And so I think the idea of not idolizing even those who are in extreme amount of power, like the president, or let's say Senate, House of Representatives, whatever it may be. Don't idolize people and never put anybody higher than the universal energy, and higher than yourself, frankly, because you are a magnificent being. You are a celebrity. You are, a masterful creator. You are a genius. You are everything that you say you are. So to put somebody at a higher standard, or to worship somebody, higher than yourself, and to love somebody deeper than yourself, is almost like an abomination, because you are an extension of God. And so with that, I think, showing that respect to yourself will ultimately allow you to achieve anything. And then you see no limits. You see other people and their achievements as simple milestones for yourself, and or as a affirmation that you too can do it. And I think that's some really positive light to walk around with today. With that being said, I have a lot of work to do today. I hope everybody out there has the best day of their lives. To everybody who jumped on the messenger board and or joined our session today, thank you so much for joining and showing constant love and support. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And I will see you all tomorrow at 5 a.m. Peace.